Hello. I saw another post about the Song of Solomon, specifically mocking the poetry found in it. And I'm going to start with a rather brief but rather harsh evaluation of American poetry. American poetry, for the most part, sucks. American poets, American writers, American thinkers, American artists typically combine imagery with visuals. That sounds kind of obvious for a moment, you'd think, but pause with me. Some of the best scenes, concepts, feelings are just that. They're feelings. When you when you see a sunset, of course the colors themselves, just the visual splash of the rainbow business going on there is glorious, but there's something deeper that makes it even more meaningful. A lot of times when people are looking at natural phenomena, the thing that hits them is the sense of how small they are and how big the universe is. There's just this hugeness to the world. And so it's a feeling. It's the feeling, indeed evoked by visuals, but it's the feeling of the scale of the universe that often hits us. And often, a lazy poet will look and write about something visual. Her eyes were like oceans. It's like, he just means she has blue eyes. There you go. Her lips were like roses, and usually he just means she has red lips. So it's like, okay, that's fine. She's got blue eyes, red lips. That's a good start, I guess. And but that's where the modern citizen, especially Americans, get tripped up with the Song of Solomon because we don't know how to feel anymore. We just are like, oh, her teeth are like goats. What does that mean? And so I am here as a poet who's not completely stupid. I mean, I'm mostly stupid, but not completely stupid. I'm here to explain to you what's going on. So, if you've got a Bible, Song of Solomon, it's like halfway through. It's pretty close to Psalms. Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. The first few chapters are mostly conversational. There is, of course, some imagery, but I'm going to start with chapter 4. So you can flip open to chapter 4, and then again, pause once more with me, and get in the context, get in the zone. This is ancient Middle East. King Solomon is an ancient king, meaning back in the day, like his thing was his castle, like his physical kingdom. He like his joy, his duty, his life was about his business, and it was about his livestock. It was about his armies. It was about his buildings. Like, there are all these things he's got to deal with, and a lot of it is his job, and a lot of it is his passion. There's some overlap between his job and his passion. And then even more broadly, this is a culture it's an agricultural culture. They're not lazy modern Americans who have computers to tell them what to feel every second of the day. They were invested in the animals and the creatures, and so it meant something. Animals and nature meant something to them, and they had feelings about them. And even then, I will try to help you see the poetry of this business. So, chapter 4, verse 1, couple lines. How beautiful you are, my darling. That's a good start. But the last clause in this verse says, your hair is like a flock of goats that have descended from Mount Gilead. So depending on if you've ever seen goats, how you feel about goats, if you're just a lazy poet, maybe you're like, goats, ew, what, why, smelly animals. But think about King Solomon, this guy whose job is to govern a whole freaking nation, and he cares about his people, he cares about the land, he cares about his livestock. Imagine him from a distance, he's standing on some tower looking at specifically Mount Gilead, and he sees this wending group of goats making their way down. He sees in the distance, he's just feeling the glory of it, and then he's looking at his beloved, and he sees her hair just like curving down her body. He's just, ugh. That's what hits him. He's not like, oh, you smell like livestock. He's thinking, he just sees in the distance this glorious flowing of things that he loves. Right away, verse 2, your teeth are like a flock of newly shorn ewes, which have come up from their washing, all of which bear twins, and not one of them has lost her young. So, it's a whole lot talking about livestock again. But remember, ancient king, livestock is like the thing. It's farms and animals, and that's what they get, that's what they love, that's what they need, that's their passion. And there's just the simple imagery of like, she's got nice teeth. Come up from their washing, all of which bear twins. Like, she's got a full set of teeth, which is, even in this day and age, not as common as you might think. And definitely back then, when tooth care was less accessible, he's appreciating that she's got all of her clean teeth. Your lips are like a scarlet thread. It's a pretty straightforward visual. Your mouth is lovely, obviously. Your temples are like a slice of pomegranate behind your veil. Now, if you think a literal like pomegranates look kind of freaky, all those weird little red dots. But here's the big shift you need to make in your heart. We American modern-day poets are so lazy. We're like, what does it look like? What does it look like? Lame. A lot of ancient poets and a few modern poets, but ancient poets, they're like, what does it evoke in me? And if you've ever had a pomegranate, well, let's just forget the pomegranate for a moment. Go for a fruit that you like. Here's a great reference. There's this scene. So if you've ever seen it, it's great. And if you haven't, you should. Firefly, TV show, sci-fi setting. There's this scene near the beginning of the series where, I forget her name, the mechanic. The mechanic gets a small cache of strawberries. And the cinematography where so when you first see it, it's just this little box, and she trades it for a passenger pays for his trip with this little box, this mysterious box. Finally, when you see her, she has the box and she opens it, and the camera doesn't even pan around, but she pulls out a strawberry. She sets it to her lips, one bite, and her facial expression, and just the whole experience is like, it's a confusing mixture. You want the strawberry, you also want to be the strawberry. It's a problem. So take that image, whether you've seen the show or not, take that image and pull that into, your temples are like the slice of pomegranate, like a slice of pomegranate behind your veil. He's not like, oh, you have lots of red dots on the side of your face. He's like, he just wants to put his mouth on her face, the pomegranate. Even verse 4, your neck is like the Tower of David, built with rows of stones on which are hung 1,000 shields, all the round shields of the mighty men. He's not saying your neck is gray and bricky. He's saying your neck is like this glorious thing that he just can't help but admire. Remember, again, he's a king with a castle and soldiers and towers and walls, and like, that's kind of his thing. And then he's looking at his wife, and he's like, your neck is just like this glorious edifice, and I want to touch it. I can imagine him thinking. And this one, I think you should, whatever, fine. Verse 5, your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle, which feed among the lilies. No, he's not saying her breasts are hairy. Again, it's not like, what does it look like, what does it look like, stupid poets. It's, what does it evoke in me? And think about it. If you had a baby deer not running away from you, within reach, what would you do with a baby deer? You'd pet it. You'd put your freaking face in it. That's how he feels about her breasts. It's not that they're hoofed and hairy. It's that he wants to nuzzle the crap out of them. Whew! What else we got? Necklace, beautiful thing. Some of the things are more direct imagery. A lot of them are scents and like tasteable things. Verse 11, still chapter 4, verse 11. Your lips, my bride, drip honey. Honey and milk are under your tongue. Like, all right. Sweet things in her mouth that he wants to get at with his mouth, if you can imagine. What else? Not a lot of people make fun of the wife's description of her man, but I think it's still worth bringing up. Chapter 5, starting around verse 10. My beloved is dazzling and ruddy, outstanding among 10,000. Like, all right, we can jive with that. Verse 13, his cheeks are a bed of balsam, banks of sweet-scented herbs. His lips are lilies dripping with liquid myrrh. So lots of herbal things, scented things. I'm guessing she just loves whatever his smell is. And then his hands are rods of gold. Boom. Set with beryl. His abdomen is carved ivory, inlaid with sapphires. So like everything, it's all of these precious gems, or it's lots of solid objects. Basically, he's like a ripped guy. He's a king. He's an ancient king. He probably did some warrior things. I'm sure he trained a lot. So he's just like, she's noting that he smells good and he's ripped. So that's cool. I appreciate that. Some of the images are repeated. Chapter 6, verse 6, your teeth are like a flock of ewes. Your hair is like a flock of goats, all in that zone. Slice of pomegranate again. Boom, boom, boom. Some more broader imagery. Oh, this one, yeah. So, chapter 7, verse 2. A few new images. And again, don't get stuck on a cheap poetry of like, it looks like this, it looks like that. Go with what would this evoke? What's the action? At least the feeling, but even the action. Chapter 7, verse 2. Your navel is like a round goblet which never lacks mixed wine. I don't know how literal they were being, but I hope you can imagine there's wine in your lady's navel and you're going to put your face in it. That's great. Then this one. Your belly is like a heap of wheat fenced about with lilies. He's not thinking, oh, it's this stringy flaxen plant. He's looking at like you ever seen a heap of wheat? They go through and they reap the wheat and then they pack it up in bundles and tie it up, and then you get this nice bowed thing going on. He's not saying, oh look, you have a yellow plant belly. He's just looking at that whole business is what he's noticing in verse 2. Verse 3, breasts, twins of a gazelle again, nuzzling the heck out of those guys. Tower of ivory, pools. Yeah, I think most of the images now have either been covered already or they make more modern sense. Yeah, and then the rest of it, chapter 8, mostly is communicative. In other words, less descriptive. But yeah, just in case you wanted to join the lazy bandwagon of being like, oh, her teeth are goats. Like, let your brain grow up just a bit and notice that ancient poets actually felt things. I'll tone down the snark, the sarcasm. I recommend that you reread Song of Solomon in light of being emotional, not just like taking a snapshot and pretending that's what she looks like, but what does King Solomon, ancient king, what does he feel about these things, and therefore how does he feel about his wife? What does he want to do to these things? I mean, I keep on thinking of the baby deer What would you do with a baby deer if you had the chance? You'd nuzzle it. That's what he wants to do to his wife's breasts. Imagine that. That's it. That's the whole thing. Just shift your brain and acknowledge that poets can feel things and not just see things. That is all.